Hi, this is Kalin, 8-figure startup founder. Everyone around me, everyone in my 120 people company thinks that I'm very effective. That's not exactly the case. But how can you get a lot of things done without being effective? The reason is that I have a very good feeling about time. Is time management a skill? How often do you have thoughts about time? Like, if only I had more time in the day, or once this shit is over, I'll have more time to what I really want to do, or I'm not exercising because I don't have the time. How often do you have those? Some people seem to get more done in a day than others in a week. How can that even be? People who never have enough time are fed the delusion that the solution is time management skills. But what the hell is time management skills and why the fancy name? When a toddler learns to walk, do we call this space management skills? To manage time is to try to manage a huge river you're swimming in. Not only doesn't work, it's conceptually impossible. What people actually mean comes down to better priorities, increasing productivity, and getting rid of addictive time-wasting habits like scrolling on your phone. So what? The word is wrong, but the concept is right? Well, it's not only that. What you do in time is everything you do. Everything you do happens in time. Time management is just a sneaky way to say life management. Life management is putting pressure on yourself and the things you do. It's hard, unnatural, exhausting. It's impossible to fully achieve. In the end, it creates expectations and decreases happiness. If you live with the right mindset, the hunter one, and have flows in you and not too much boxes, you don't need life management or time management. Things just happen. They happen mostly great when you just give up control, when you stop managing your life. But even if you needed life management, and I cannot stress this enough, you don't, having a term for something that generic would be a useless trap word that would just be in the way, that would just destroy our intuition. Better to segment this into its understandable and actionable parts and unite it under the time management umbrella. And if we try, we end up with this spectacular 3D fail. So something we don't need is pursued, but also structurally in the wrong way without being segmented. And to add to all of this fun, we call it by the wrong name. What could go wrong? Of course, the first thing that does go wrong is the management part. Never expect a direct effort to control to have high success rate. People will resist. Even if they don't know why, they still will. Because deep down, we all feel the importance of adaptability for survival and prefer to keep our options open. Here are the separate fails. First, better priorities. We talk about choices and long-term freedom as a priority in our freedom content, but ironically, people have bad priorities partially because they don't understand time, and they also don't understand time because they have bad priorities. Developing time understanding is not a priority for most people. And when I see how much time most people spend having fake fun on screens compared to innovating and creating in the golden age of innovation, traveling our beautiful world, or just meeting people and having fun, I don't think we are having much progress on priorities, despite the app stores have hundreds of time management apps. Second, increasing productivity. We'll talk more about this in our productivity video, but for now, let's remember that a productive state of flow can only happen while you're in hunter mode. And for this to happen, you need to minimize self-pressure, so you don't have fears. This means the least possible to-do list, reminders, apps, phone in general, distractions in general. Time management apps will not help you reach flow. They are more of a pick yourself up when you're totally down, last resort structural solution. Management in general does not increase productivity. The opposite, autonomy does, including from yourself, so you have space for creativity. Third, getting rid of addictive time-wasting habits. These habits, like looking at your phone every 2 minutes, typical thing in the modern age, are coping mechanisms for the lack of meaning and other flows that you assign to what you're doing. No band-aid solutions for time management will cope with a problem as serious as lack of flows or meaning. You have to eventually make big game of life and possibly game of self changes in order to find the meaning and other flows again. So time management is actually life management. It doesn't work as advertised because it increases pressure and expectations when you need the opposite. Does this mean you just leave time aside and don't develop any time-related skills? Actually, this is what most people are doing. If you're not a grinder, if you don't like living by the minute, by the clock, you just live normally. Most people live their lives and just let time pass by while they are passive observer to time. A typical thought of theirs goes like this: if we cannot find enough time during the day, if we cannot influence it, if we can barely manage ourselves and our actions within time constraints, what are our chances against the behemoth of time built into the universe itself? This thought reveals the single word that can ruin everything for you, which is against. You're not in a race against time, just like you're not in a race against the river you're swimming in. In fact, the river is giving you most of the speed. Because, believe it or not, regardless of age, unless you're very ill, time is and will always be your ally, not your enemy, your ally. But it's your responsibility to understand time, so the alliance between you two can materialize. But how? Let's start with our golden rule. Time understanding is not time management. If you were somehow a factory, you would need time management, but you're not. In fact, you and an imaginary factory have the opposite objectives. The factory wants to be predictable. It has assembly lines and supply chains, and everything needs to happen according to a pattern and needs to be predictable. But you are in a constant fight with inertia to improve yourself, and the only way to sometimes win against inertia is to be unpredictable, including to yourself. It's very important. This lack of control may sound very scary, but in practice you have no idea if being predictable or unpredictable is more of a threat to your well-being. So this fear is not rational and you should face and challenge it. The factory has limited potential and it maximizes it through goals, quotas and other structures. But you have unlimited potential. Goals just get in the way of accomplishing it. You can achieve the impossible, not the objectively impossible of course, but the impossible from your viewpoint. You can achieve more than you think you can. The factory needs planning and management, but you don't. And if you don't need specific goals, why plan and create harmful limitations and expectations for yourself? You just need a direction, and following a direction does not need planning. Taking it one step at a time is usually the best option. This is the hunter mode behavior, not overthinking it. What is time understanding then? It's a purely intuitive skill that is not taught anywhere and most people lack. It's about feeling the flow of time and adjusting the timestamps of your life and work to it. The core concept is actually not easy to explain logically. I'll do my best using examples. Let's compare time to the other core quantitative concept of life, which is money. If you want financial freedom, you have to learn to feel the quantities of money, the money flows, both large and small. And this intuitive understanding you can only gain with experience. Then you will be ready to start a business following the right principles you now feel, and then you kiss your financial problems goodbye once you are a successful entrepreneur. I'm currently handling the investment decisions of an 8-figure company without any financial software or balance spreadsheet, despite the best efforts of our financial manager. I do most of the investments in the company based solely on my feel about the chunks of value, the money flows that we are dealing with. Of course, if I drown myself in data and replace my intuition with logic, I may do some small decisions a bit better. But this cannot happen without sacrificing this intuition, because I will be sacrificing the feel that I have for this flow of money. And when times get rough and new business models have to be conceived to save and grow the company, I will need the intuition. The Excel spreadsheets and the software cannot help me because they cannot envision all possible futures of the company. They just deal with the past and the present. So I will need the intuition. When the tides are turning, if you have intuition, you adapt like Apple, and if you have the spreadsheets and you think you know what you're doing, you're Nokia and you're getting blown out of the market. Intuition is just so much more evolutionarily mature and therefore more powerful than logic, that every complex task that can be handled intuitively should be. Logic is in evolutionary terms a baby that is just learning to crawl. The triumph of logic in modern society is only because the scientific method manages to filter out the 99% of cases where our logic is wrong and combines and constantly improves these 1% of best ideas the smartest people on earth in a single body of knowledge. Personal level, logic is terrible. It will fail most people most of the time.